Ever since tensions between Iran, Israel, and the United States began escalating, Muslims everywhere have started discussing end times prophecies. People are talking about Imam Mahdi, Dajjal, and the return of Isa alayhi salam. But most people are not asking one question. What do Jewish prophecies say about the end of times? Because for nearly 3,000 years, Jewish scholars have also been studying prophecies about the final era of history. These prophecies revolve around three major ideas: the war of Gog and Magog, the rebuilding of the Third Temple, and a mysterious ritual involving something called the Red Heifer. To understand this belief system, researchers look at Jewish texts like the Torah, the Talmud, the Tanakh, and the writings of scholars like Maimonides. And according to one of their most famous prophecies, found in the book of Ezekiel chapter 38, dated nearly 2,600 years ago, a massive coalition of nations will one day attack Israel. The prophecy lists several names: Persia, Cush, Put, Gomer, and Togarmah. Many Jewish scholars interpret these ancient names as modern countries. Persia is interpreted as Iran. Gog, or Rosh, is often linked to Russia. Togarmah is interpreted as Turkey. Cush is believed to refer to regions like Ethiopia or Sudan, while Put is associated with Libya. According to this interpretation, a coalition of these nations will one day unite and attack Israel. Israel will appear isolated and vulnerable, but at the last moment, God will intervene supernaturally and destroy the attacking forces. After that victory, they believe their Messiah will appear. But there is a fascinating twist in this prophecy that many people overlook. The prophecy indicates that Israel must be attacked first. In other words, Israel cannot start the war. The attack must appear to come from the opposing coalition. Only then, according to their interpretation, will the prophecy unfold, leading to a significant escalation in the conflict and potentially justifying a military response from Israel. Now consider something intriguing. In October 2024, Iran fired missiles toward Israel. Instead of panic, some Israeli leaders described it as an opportunity. Why would a missile attack be considered an opportunity? Such an event could serve as justification for a larger war that aims to destroy Iran and its allies. However, there is a much longer historical timeline that connects to this modern narrative. The story begins in 586 BC. The Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar invaded Jerusalem and destroyed the first temple built by Prophet Suleiman, alayhi salam. Thousands of Jews were taken captive to Babylon. Among them was a prophet known as Ezekiel. According to Jewish tradition, it was during this captivity that the prophecy about Gog and Magog was written. Centuries later, in 70 AD, the Romans destroyed the Second Temple and expelled the Jews from Jerusalem. For nearly 2,000 years, Jewish communities lived scattered across the world. Then, something unusual happened in the 19th century. In 1830, a British preacher named John Nelson Darby introduced a new Christian doctrine called dispensationalism. He argued that the Jews must return to the land of Israel so that the second coming of Jesus could occur. This was a radical idea. For nearly 1,800 years of Christian history, no major church father had taught such a doctrine. But the idea spread rapidly. In 1909, an American lawyer named Cyrus Scofield published the famous Scofield Reference Bible, which included explanatory notes promoting this theology. The book became extremely influential in American churches. Over time, millions of Christians began believing that supporting Israel was a religious duty. Then came 1948, when the modern state of Israel was officially established. For many believers, this was seen as the fulfillment of prophecy. In 1967, Israel captured East Jerusalem during the Six-Day War, gaining control over the area known as the Temple Mount. Some rabbis declared this moment the beginning of the end times. Fast forward to 2004, when the ancient Jewish religious court, known as the Sanhedrin, was revived after nearly 2,000 years. Its purpose? The Sanhedrin's purpose was to establish legal frameworks in preparation for the arrival of their Messiah. 2 years later, in 2006, a powerful organization emerged in the United States called Christians United for Israel, founded by Pastor John Hagee. Today, it has millions of members and enormous political influence. This movement is part of what is known as Christian extremism, and it plays a major role in shaping American support for Israel. But perhaps the most mysterious development happened recently. In September 2024, 5 perfectly red cows, known as red heifers, were flown from Texas to Israel. Why would cows cause excitement across the religious world? Because according to the book of Numbers, chapter 19, a completely red cow without any blemish must be sacrificed to create ashes used for ritual purification. And according to Jewish belief, the third temple cannot be built until this ritual takes place. For decades, the Temple Institute in Jerusalem has been preparing everything needed for this future temple. But there is one major obstacle. They have already constructed a massive golden menorah worth millions of dollars, special priestly garments, a sacrificial altar, and now they finally have the red heifer. But there is one major obstacle. The place where they believe the temple must be built is currently occupied by Masjid al-Aqsa, the third holiest site in Islam. To construct the temple, they would need to clear that site. And that is where geopolitics becomes extremely sensitive. Many analysts argue that 3 major strategic goals exist behind current tensions in the region. First, neutralize Iran, which is seen as a major opposing power. Second, establishing what some interpret as Greater Israel, stretching from the Nile River to the Euphrates. Thirdly, they need to establish the necessary conditions for the construction of the third temple in Jerusalem. But when we compare these beliefs with Islamic teachings, the picture becomes very different. In Islamic eschatology, the final era includes the appearance of Dajjal, followed by the return of Isa alayhi salam, who will defeat him and establish justice on earth. Both traditions speak about dramatic events centered around Jerusalem. But the outcomes they describe are completely different. The Jews want these wars to be conducted and are literally pushing the world towards its end so that their awaited Messiah can return. While we as Muslims long for the arrival of Imam Mahdi and Isa alayhi salam, while despising even the thought of the arrival of Dajjal. But we do know that prophecies will come true. And now a reverse countdown has begun toward the end of time. And that brings us to the most important lesson. Prophecies are not meant to make believers passive. They are meant to prepare people spiritually and morally. What we are witnessing today is not at all a geopolitical war. The Western media is trying to fool the masses by saying negotiations will work and this war will not escalate. This war was waged with the aim of destruction of the world. Sooner or later, we will witness the US being overpowered by Israel and Israel taking charge of the whole world, putting the whole world under the system of the New World Order. Everything is going according to the ancient scriptures of the Jews. Iran wasn't attacked because it was a threat. It was attacked because it was written in the prophecy. And not only was it written in the prophecy, but the area in Iran known as Isfahan is extremely important for Israel as well. They want to take full control of it. This is the area that is mentioned in the Hadith as well. Allah's Messenger, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, said, "The Dajjal would be followed by 70,000 Jews of Isfahan wearing Persian shawls. With Isfahan in control, the Jews will relocate there, and when Dajjal comes, they will follow him from there. In short, what we are witnessing right now is that Israel and the US are working together with a plan. This plan is solely grounded in ancient scriptures and prophecies. They have dedicated themselves fully to their scriptures and teachings. The question is, are Muslims also so dedicated to their teachings? Or are they busy organizing massive iftar parties or following football games? They are following even 2,600-year-old ones, while we fail to learn the book of guidance provided to us by Allah only 1,400 years ago. This is the time when every Muslim, every 2 billion of us, dedicate more of our time to our religion. It is not only for the betterment of our akhirah, but also as a preparation for the great danger that lays just ahead of us. That's all for today. If you found the video informative, please like it and subscribe to the channel. Jazakumullahu khairan.